Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into a really complex transfer story, the one surrounding Lucas Paquetá.
Yeah, it's been bubbling for a while now.
Exactly. Flamengo trying to bring him back from West Ham. It's quite the saga.
It really is.
And our sources show it's way more than just your standard transfer talk. I mean, you've got serious legal issues, a massive $80 million deal that just vanished, and, well, a player who seems pretty keen to go home.
Right. Paqueta's 28, attacking mid, still got time on his West Ham contract, but everything's kind of up in the air.
And that's the crux of it, isn't it? This whole potential move, it seems driven by these, external pressures as much as anything else.
Absolutely. You really have to start with the investigation, I think. That whole FA situation.
Okay, yeah. Let's unpack that. Because it sort of sets the stage for everything else, the money, the player's mindset.
It does. So Paquetá was under investigation by the Football Association.
Right.
The allegation was about sports betting, but specifically spot fixing. The claim was he might have deliberately picked up yellow cards in certain games.
Which is incredibly serious.
Oh, massively.
Yeah.
We're talking about the integrity of the game here. It wasn't just, having a flutter. This was about manipulating events on the pitch.
And the potential consequences were huge.
Huge. Sources were saying there was a real risk, a genuine possibility, of a lifetime ban from English football.
Wow. A lifetime ban.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically your career over, at least in England. When that kind of threat is hanging over you, well, your market value just disappears overnight.
And that's exactly what we saw happen, didn't we? The timing was brutal, this investigation surfaces, and boom.
The Manchester City deal collapses.
That 80 million move, just gone.
Instantly killed. 1 minute he's potentially heading to the Champions for a massive fee, the next. That deal is completely off the table.
You can only imagine the mental toll of that. Going from that high to suddenly facing this huge investigation and seeing that opportunity evaporate.
Absolutely. And the emotional side is key here. Reports suggest he's really struggled since then. You hear about personal issues, maybe not getting the game time he wants, just general unhappiness at West Ham.
Understandable, really.
Yeah, and when you face that kind of storm, the idea of going back somewhere familiar, somewhere like Flamengo, where he came through the ranks, where he's loved, that becomes really appealing. It's like seeking a safe harbor.
A fresh start, basically, back where it all began.
Or vicely.
But then there was a twist, wasn't there? More recently, about, 75 days ago?
Yeah, that's a crucial point. Reports started emerging that Paquetá was actually set to be cleared by the FA over those allegations.
Right. So if that massive cloud is lifting, or looks like it's lifting, why are we still talking about him leaving? Why isn't West Ham saying, great, our 80 million player is back?
Well, that's the interesting bit, isn't it? Being cleared is obviously huge news for him personally. Removes the ban risk.
Yeah.
But it doesn't automatically reset everything back to how it was before. It seems West Ham, maybe emotionally, had already kind of moved on. They stayed open to selling him. It suggests that maybe even without the legal drama, there were other issues, perhaps his attitude, or just that unhappiness we mentioned.
So for West Ham, it became less about keeping a star and more about recouping some cash.
Exactly. The priority shifted. It wasn't about losing him for nothing anymore. It was about getting funds in, maybe for their own rebuild.
Which brings us to the money side of things, because there's a big gap between what West Ham want and what Flamengo seem willing or able to pay.
A huge gap. West Ham paid a lot for him, remember, around $60 million back in 2022.
Yeah, not small change. So they want to get a decent chunk of that back, presumably.
Naturally, they needed to reset their expectations after the City deal died, but they still set an asking price, reportedly around 30 million. That's 30 million pounds sterling.
Still a significant fee.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And importantly, West Ham have apparently been very clear. They want a permanent sale. No loans. They need the money now.
Okay, so 30 million in permanent deal. That's West Ham's position. Now contrast that with Flamengo.
Well, Flamengo's approach has been opportunistic, maybe?
Yeah.
They saw the situation, the investigation, the uncertainty.
And tried to get a bargain?
Seems like it. They apparently first reached out over a year ago, maybe during the Copa America, with an offer around 15 million.
15, compared to West Ham wanting 30 million.
Yeah. West Ham rejected it immediately, obviously. Even with the investigation hanging over him, that was too low. But it shows you the starting positions.
Worlds apart, really.
And Flamengo kept pushing for a loan deal, too, maybe with an option to buy, which, again, West Ham weren't interested in. Flamengo were being cautious.
But Flamengo have one big ace up their sleeve here, don't they?
The player himself.
Right, Paqueta's desire to go back.
Exactly. Reports are consistent that he's not just open to it, he actively wants to return to Brazil. And crucially, he's apparently willing to take a pay cut to make it happen with Flamengo.
That changes things, doesn't it? When the player wants out and is willing to sacrifice financially.
It puts pressure on West Ham. It's not just a club-to-club negotiation anymore. They have an asset who clearly wants to be elsewhere. That desire has to factor into West Ham's thinking about the final price. How much is it worth to them to move on an unhappy player?
Which leads us pretty neatly to what's happening right now, because this isn't just background noise anymore. There seems to be a real concerted push from Flamengo.
Yeah, it feels more concrete now. The name that keeps coming up is Flamengo's sporting director, Jose Boto.
Okay.
He's apparently the one driving this. Sources say he's been talking to Paquetá's agents constantly for months. This isn't a sudden idea. It's been a long game.
So Boto's been laying the groundwork.
It seems so. And the latest reports, like the one from Bolivip in Brazil, suggest things are intensifying. Boto's persistence seems to be key.
And what's the trigger for this renewed push now?
The reports mention Paquetá is, quote, not 100% happy at West Ham. That might sound vague, but for Flamengo, that's the signal. That's the opening in. Boto needs to make a formal move.
It gives them leverage, positions them as the solution for him.
Exactly. The timing and the structure of their reported plan are interesting too.
Okay, what are the details there?
According to those Brazilian reports, an official proposal is expected in January. Soon.
Right, when the window opens.
And the thinking at Flamengo seems to be that they can afford it now. They've apparently banked around $15 million from selling other players recently.
Ah, so that 15 million figure pops up again.
It does. And they also expect to bring in a lot more cash next year, so maybe they feel more confident about stretching a bit further now or structuring a deal.
And there's a big deadline driving this urgency too, isn't there? A specific tournament.
Yeah, the 2025 Club World Cup in the U.S. That seems to be the big target.
Okay, that makes sense.
Flamengo wants to get Paquetá signed, sealed, and delivered well before that tournament. They see him as a key piece for competing on that global stage. It's not just sentiment, it's a strategic signing for a major competition.
So it's serious. They need him for that.
It really underlines their intent. They're pushing past all the history, the legal stuff, the price arguments, the fact that sources say negotiations are set to heat up. Well, it feels like we're heading towards some kind of resolution.
So if you're listening, the picture is this. West Ham, having paid $60 million, want around $30 million for a player cleared of serious allegations but seemingly unhappy.
Right.
Flamengo, his old club, are pushing hard, potentially starting around that $15 million mark they've just banked, knowing the player desperately wants the move, partly driven by that whole FA investigation of fallout and the collapsed city dream.
It's a classic transfer standoff, but with incredibly high emotional and historical stakes layered on top.
Which leaves us with a final thought, really. Flamengo have banked $15 million. West Ham want £30 million. How high does Flamengo realistically have to go?
Yeah, what's the actual ceiling they need to hit? And maybe more importantly, how much is West Ham willing to discount that $30 million asking price just to accommodate Paquetá's very clear desire to leave England? That's the multi-million-pound question, isn't it?
Absolutely. How much is that personal factor worth in hard cash? We'll have to wait and see, especially as January gets closer. That's all we've got time for on this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.